You're watching the Weiss channel. Today, I'm talking about special right triangles, but specifically, we're talking about a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Here is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay? If the short leg, this bottom piece, is 1, okay, then the long leg is 1 square root of 3. And if the long leg is 1 square root of 3, by the way, to get the hypotenuse, you just double it. That's going to be 2. So if the short leg is 1, you double it to get the hypotenuse, that's 2. And you do times square root of 3 to get the long leg. For example, if the short leg is 5, the hypotenuse is 10, and the long leg is 5 square root of 3. If the short leg is 7, the hypotenuse is 14, and the long leg is 7 square root of 3. Okay. If the short leg is 4, the hypotenuse is 8, the long leg is 4 square root of 3. The short leg is 8, hypotenuse is 16, long leg is 8 square root of 3. So what if the hypotenuse is 12? If the hypotenuse is 12, then to find the short leg, you take half, right? That's 6, making the long leg 6 square root of 3. What if the long leg is 11 square root of 3? If the long leg is 11 square root of 3, then isn't the short leg 11? And the hypotenuse is 22. Now, don't freak out if the triangle is drawn upside down. Short leg is 2, hypotenuse is 4, long leg is 2 square root of 3. What if it's drawn sideways? What if the long leg is 3 square root of 3? You're dividing by square root of 3, right, to get 3. And then doubling it to get 6. What if the short leg is 10? The hypotenuse is 20, the long leg is 10 square root of 3. What if the hypotenuse is 18? The short leg is 9, half, and then times square root of 3 to get the long leg. Okay. Now, what if the short leg is 5 square root of 3? To double it, it's 10 square root of 3, right? But then to get the long leg, isn't it times square root of 3? What's 5 square root of 3 times square root of 3? Isn't square root of 3 times square root of 3 equal to 3? So what's 5 times 3? 15, right? So what if you got 7 square root of 3? The hypotenuse is 14 square root of 3. And isn't this 21, right? So what if the hypotenuse is 12 square root of 3? What's half of 12? 6 square root of 3. And what's 6 square root of 3 times square root of 3? 18, right? Okay. Now, what if the long leg is just simply 5, right? All along, right, we've been dividing by square root of 3. In other words, back here, if this was 4 square root of 3, you divide square root of 3 to get 4. If this was 11 square root of 3, you divide square root of 3 to get 11, right? Well, guess what? Now that we have 5, we're going to divide by square root of 3. 5 divided by square root of 3. But, of course, you're not allowed to have a square root in the denominator. So how do you get rid of it? You have to multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3, right? That gives you 5 square root of 3 over 3. That's the short side. So how do you get the long side? Double it. 10 square root of 3 over 3, right? Okay. So same thing. If this is 5 and this is 5 square root of 3 divided by 3, then if this is 7, isn't this 7 square root of 3 divided by 3? Which makes the hypotenuse 14 square root of 3 over 3, right? So if this is 4, isn't this 4 square root of 3 divided by 3? Double it, 8 square root of 3 divided by 3, right? Okay. So now, what if you have square root of 5 for the hypotenuse? Oh my God, I got to divide that by 2. What's square root of 5 divided by 2? Well, square root of 5 over 2. Done. Multiply that by square root of 3. What's 5 times 3? 5 times 3 is 15. Square root of 15 over 2, right? What if you have just plain 3 for the hypotenuse? Doesn't that make the short side 3 over 2? 1.5, right? Just write it as 3 over 2. So what is the long leg? Wouldn't that be 3 square root of 3 over 2? Because you're just multiplying by square root of 3, right? What if the short leg is square root of 7? To double it, it's 2 square root of 7. Now what's 7 times 3? 21, right? So square root of 7 times square root of 3 is square root of 21, right? Okay, now, what if you have square root of 12 for your hypotenuse? Square root of 12, can that be broken down? Oh yeah. What perfect square goes into 12? 4 goes into 12, right? So it's square root of 4, square root of 3. What's the square root of 4? 2. So square root of 12 is 2 square root of 3. So in other words, how do I divide this by 2? Well, I take 2 square root of 3 and I divide it by 2. What happens to the 2's? The 2's are going to cancel out, leaving me with just square root of 3, right? And if the short leg is square root of 3, what's the long leg? It's square root of 3 times square root of 3. What is square root of 3 times square root of 3? That's 3, right? That was a lot. A bit much maybe, but once you get it, it's easy. You've been watching the Weiss channel.